Werewolves was so frustrating I had a blowout on the way home. Here's the proof. Werewolves stars Frank Grillo, Katrina Law, Lou Diamond Phillips, and is directed by Stephen C. Miller. What's up, guys? Welcome to another brand new 2024 review. I was able to squeeze this one in. I was going to check out Y2K, but I figured I'd go with Werewolves instead. Honestly, I don't even know if I'll be able to see Y2K by the end of the year, but it's not really getting that good reviews, and the opening weekend of it is less than stellar. But we're here to review Werewolves. First off, let's give you a quick plot synopsis. Oh, and quickly, by the way, guys, this will be dedicated to Bronson Wright Wolf, one of my decap patrons. I do that for just about all my videos going forward. Thank you, Bronson. Frank Grillo plays Wesley. First off, we all love freaking Frank Grillo, okay? As much as I am frustrated with this movie, Frank Grillo can do no wrong. He is always freaking awesome. Got to get that out of the way. But he plays this character, Wesley. He is a former military captain. His brother died because of this whole, I think, werewolf outbreak a year ago or something like that. So he's left to take care of his brother's family. This movie really, it hits the ground running to its benefit, almost too quickly. And it's kind of setting up all the rules and whatnot. And you got Lou Diamond Phillips giving this whole speech about this supermoon that literally turns people into werewolves if they are out. You know, it's kind of like vampires during the day getting out in the sunlight, right? Well, just think humans out in the night getting in the moonlight, and because of the conditions of the supermoon, they turn into werewolves. And so they're doing all these tests, and this is like at the first act of the movie with these volunteers, although a lot of them don't seem like they want to be there. Some of them seem like they're downright psychotic. But they're going to try out this moon screen is what it's called. I think that's what they're doing in the test, but I guess they wolf out too quickly or something like that. And so, of course, there is a werewolf outbreak, and then they get into the town, and it's just mass chaos. This is the Purge with werewolves. It really is. Maybe that's part of the reason why I don't really care for this movie, is because I never got into the Purge franchise. I've seen not all the movies, but quite a few of them, and I just could not get on board with that franchise. I don't know what it was. Just did not find it interesting. Even though I found the premise interesting on paper, I guess it was just the execution of it all that I just could not get behind. And I know that The Purge has its fans. There are people that love the Purge franchise, and maybe they'll like this if they like The Purge, but it's just not for me. I think it's just paper thin in terms of the characters, and that's sort of what this movie falls in line with as well. Guys, have you ever went to a movie and you walked out and you just feel nothing? That's how I felt with this movie. I walked out, I felt absolutely nothing. Is there pacing problems in the movie? No, not really. I mean, if you're wanting a breakneck, fast-paced action movie, it is that. Are there enough werewolves in the movie? Absolutely. There's tons of werewolves in the movie. But I think the problem with this movie for me is how generic it feels, how it doesn't really reinvent the wheel at all or offer anything new outside of the premise. And so the stuff that it's kind of competing with in the genre, it doesn't even compare. And I think that's the problem. When you're watching this, you're sort of comparing it to movies like Dog Soldiers, because that is a fantastic werewolf movie. And I guess a lot of other werewolf movies. Is this the worst werewolf movie of all time? No, not at all. But it's just kind of there. I think that's my biggest issue with this movie. It's just there, and there is massive potential. Also, I think it borrows a little bit too much from, or at least in one particular part of the movie, it borrows heavily from 30 Days of Night. Not going to spoil which section, but I guarantee you, if you've seen 30 Days of Night, you will know exactly what I'm talking about when the scene comes. The characters in this movie, they're not horrible. Don't get me wrong. There is, this woman and her child. That is the wife and the daughter of Wesley's brother that died a year ago, and they're giving it their all. They're doing the best that they can. But I think one of the biggest issues for this movie, given the setup and given how many werewolves there are, there's not that many humans running around getting attacked by werewolves. I wanted a lot more bloodshed and a lot more carnage from the werewolves. There is some of that in here, but it's kind of sparse, if I'm being honest. The CGI is highly noticeable. It didn't bother me that much, but again, just frustrating. And you know what, guys? I was kind of comparing this to Alien Requiem, the movie that really gets a hard time, I think. Yes, it is too dark of a movie. I'll give you guys that. But if you can set that aside and maybe check out my DD Fix that actually fixes that problem. That's what I called it when I reviewed. Check out my review for Alien vs. Predator Requiem. I think that movie's highly underrated. And if you want like blood and guts and bloodshed and, you know, kind of a small town environment where you do get to know a lot of the characters, it's all there, honestly. And I think that's what I wanted this to be. I wanted this to be AVP Requiem with werewolves, because it's set up in kind of a small town environment. And I think these characters, they're propped up to be really likable, but for some reason, I just did not care for them by the end of the movie. And I think they just didn't dive deep enough into that family dynamic, because we've seen so many of these movies where you can't help but gush over a strong family dynamic in some of these movies. And that's because the groundwork is laid via the dialogue, you know, getting to know the characters. And I don't think we get enough of that in this. And so I think it hits the ground running way too quickly. And I think they try to ramp up the emotion before, I guess, the tracks are laid, right? The emotional tracks are laid. That's what I'm trying to say. As far as the look of the werewolves, if you catch them at the right angle, they look pretty awesome. But if you catch them dead on, I'm not going to lie, they look kind of silly, if I'm being honest, right? I'm just being honest with you guys. They do look kind of silly. I do appreciate that they are practical. I will give it that. I know Alec Gillis worked on this, a freaking legend. And look, I don't hate the look of the werewolves, and thank God they are practical. I have to give them credit where credit is due. But I think it all comes down to the shots and the action and really the script. You know, what's going to happen with these werewolves? How are you going to make us think that they are just completely ripping bodies to shreds? And you just didn't get enough of that, if I'm being honest. And yes, there are dumb popcorn movies out there. I hear this argument all the time. You got to turn off your brain. And I do think there are movies where you got to turn off your brain. I'd say AVP Requiem, you kind of got to turn off your brain. But you can turn off your brain, but the movie can still kind of suck. Okay? That's the bad news for you guys, all right? If you go to any freaking movie and turn off your brain, does that mean you're guaranteed to like it? Absolutely not. I'm sorry. That's the truth, okay? But turn off your brain movies do exist. Yes, they do exist, but they still got to be fun. So yeah, Werewolves, man, I wanted to like this so bad, but I hate to do this. I got to give it a 2 hours lost. Damn it, it's a shame. And it's it's an independent type film, which I always love to root for those. But I gotta be honest. So if you enjoyed Werewolves, I am so happy. Let me know down in the comments what you loved about it. If you did, if you didn't like it, let me know. Let me know your opinion. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do FIFA Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on all my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, and Drumdum out.